Hi everyone, I'm back with another video from the PTR, and today I have something very special for you guys. This is a HurriCAN Druid. Not a Boulder HurriCAN Druid, this is a HurriCAN Druid, or how we nickname it, the HurriCAN Druid, cruising through Tier 100 Nightmare Dungeons. So this is an idea that I got immediately after looking at the tempered affixes that you can put on your items these days. So on the PTR you can craft new affixes, including HurriCAN duration on your weapon, and I really want to make a build around this. There are some pretty important synergies that already existed, and this was kind of the missing piece to really make this come online and feel really good. And as you can see here, like, I'm actually just running through those dungeons. It feels like a Rightous Fire build in Path of Exile, for example. Kind of just cruising through the dungeons. I have the AoE damage around me, and I don't really have to do anything. Everything that comes in contact with me just dies and evaporates. So it's a very funny setup, and it's very comfy in terms of defense. I have the debilitating roar here that I constantly reset. You can see this here right now. I have the debilitating roar running. It's already reset. I have the Hunter's Zenith ring here that makes this HurriCAN as a storm skill, getting a killing blow, reset the cooldown of my debilitating roar every time. So like this, you have basically permanent uptime. It fortifies you, it heals you, you cruise through the dungeons, and everything just dies. I also went into the pit with this and tried to push it a little bit, which was relatively comfy, especially compared to the rogue, I gotta say, because rogues are just squishy as hell. And well, druids are tanky boys, and especially with a setup like this, it wasn't really such a problem. I didn't go that far now because, well, I was streaming for 16 hours, and in the end I kind of like just tried a lot of stuff with this build here to make this the best possible. But I think I'm gonna go back and try if I can do like pit 100 plus or something, which should be very doable. So this is kind of like the core of the setup, and I can also show you real quick what the rest of this looks like. I also have a planner here. Unfortunately, we don't have the new item stats and so on in the Maxwell planner just yet. But this is what it looks like. Here's a skill tree, here's a paragon, and so on, so you can follow that along. Now, I do have a Tempest Roar in here that is not ultimately required, but it does allow you to get pretty easy access to the Envenom passive here. And you can also roll Envenom on your amulet, for example. I have 2 ranks there, so that is kind of nice. And this allows me to get like a lot of extra crit damage, for example. This is like the most important synergy that you unlock here, and there's also just not really that many really good like powers that you can put in this build. I even have stuff like Edge Masters, for example, on the Druid. I've never seen that before, but apparently it's a thing here, because I just can't really find many aspects to put in this build. But in the end, I kind of min-maxed it a little bit, and it actually felt much better. The most important one here is of the Tempest. This is this HurriCAN, like increasing power aspect basically. And with this HurriCAN duration, as you can see here, we have 105% HurriCAN duration. Well, that stacks up to a lot. And on a two-handed weapon, you can get a 36% roll per second, and my HurriCAN lasts 20 seconds. So this roll is up to like 700% extra damage towards the end for the last few ticks or so. And it can go even more crazy than that. This HurriCAN duration roll I have here is not even the final form. This can be masterworked 2 more times with the big procs. This item is only 8 out of 12 anyway. And I think this is not even the highest recipe. So you can probably get something like 150% or so HurriCAN duration. And then this thing lasts like, I don't know, 25 seconds or something like that. And well, the main combo that comes online with that is that we can also use provocation. So this is something that I used back in the open beta. You might remember that I made a video about this back when the 17 damage meme came about, and my HurriCANs were doing like 300 damage per tick, and that was because of provocation. So the way this works is that when you cast HurriCAN and you have this buff, the entire HurriCAN will overpower with every single tick. And well, you can get this every 16 seconds. And with a 20 seconds duration on HurriCAN, you have it every single time. And then you get other synergies. For example, you assign Strength here, 30% damage, 30% overpower damage. You can scale overpower, for example, from the glyph, and a bunch of other stuff like that. And suddenly this thing just pops off and does like millions of damage. I guess like fully optimized, you can even hit like 10, maybe even 17 million with a HurriCAN tick. So that is kind of where it's at actually. Now, I don't think this is going to be like the ultimate druid build or something, but I think for people that enjoy like stuff like Rightous Fire and Path of Exile or so, this is a nice build, man. Yeah, it's pretty smooth. You just kind of cruise through the dungeons. You have to time your abilities a little bit, but with a bit of muscle memory, this is not really so bad. So you see here right now, when I start the run, I'm actually trying to stack up this provocation buff. This is the timer here, the stacking buff here. So when this hits 16, this is when you cast HurriCAN, and you have to make sure that you don't cast them all, or you don't cast your wolves or your ravens when you have 16 stacks. So you can do the poison creeper, but usually the way that I handle this is that I kind of just get my poison creeper out and my ravens and so on. There is this new clarity buff now as well that you want to stack up, which also gives you lots of extra damage. Here, this is this one. You get 45% multiplier damage and 45% crit chance when you have 3 companion skills activated before the HurriCAN. So basically the way this works is that you get your 16 stacks and you have your 3 stacks of clarity, which is this buff here. And then you wait for this timer here and you press HurriCAN. And then we just kind of like go and in bear form again. And you see here, it's already starting to stack the next thing. And now we just kind of like walk around. And if there's no enemies, you can just like shift left click for maul. Or if there's enemies, you can do like a debilitating roar. Then you see it immediately comes back. And well, we cast our companions one more time. And now we get to the 16 again. And we cast right click. And you kind of repeat. And then you just kind of like walk around. And you see here stuff dies. We press our debilitating roar. We press our debilitating roar again. We do our companions here somewhere. You just have to press them all once basically. And you kind of cruise through the area here. And then usually when I hit like 12 or so on this buff, I do like one more maul or one more debilitating roar and you stay in the werebear form for a few more seconds, giving you those last few stacks basically. And I don't really have to like think about it and always look down there on the buff bar. At some point you kind of get into the rhythm and you only really look down there on the buff bar, like sometimes, you know, close to the end of the stacking buff timer basically. But you have to make sure that you don't accidentally consume your 16 stacks with one of the other skills, because then without your all powers you do quite a lot less damage, with all the synergies that I explained being a kind of important part of why this actually works. So you want to make sure you hit the 16 and then do the HurriCAN. But yeah, this is kind of how the combo works. It's very fun, very cool to play, and as I mentioned, it's like, yeah, not the craziest build, but yeah, you can see it's hilarious to play actually. So if you can handle the clunkiness of playing around provocation, it is something worth trying. I would not really recommend trying to level with this or something like that. As I mentioned, like, you need a certain combo, you need this HurriCAN duration, you need to get this overpower online, and it will probably be like a level 100 build basically. So this is not something that I would try at like level 50 to do Nightmare Dungeons or something like that when the season comes out. But if you want to play something completely out of the ordinary, then this might be a build for you to keep in mind for Season 4. And that's also it for this video already. I have the planner linked in the description, and as always, you can also find my planners in my Discord. So I also have this here, the HurriCAN build. There's going to be more to come, of course, but I've been working on this now, and I'm going to keep you guys covered with more stuff that I've figured out here on the PTR. I hope you enjoyed this video here, and I'll see you guys next time.